Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening, and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important in the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, and home to the women's Final Four in women's basketball, Cleveland, Ohio. Hey-o! I'm your program host, Greg Griffey. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter, which you can subscribe to on the main page of the website, thebbqcentralshow.com. 12 minutes from now, we will be joined by our first Tuesday of the month regular guest, creator, co-creator, How to BBQ Right, pitmaster of Killer Hogs competition team, our pal and your pal, Malcom Reed, shall be joining us. We're going to be talking to Malcolm tonight about any number of the following. We'll ask him YouTube poll question of the week. We're also going to be talking to him about why he's not competing in Memphis. I can put a period there, in Memphis. So that would be on both sides of either event, Memphis in May or Smokeslam. We'll talk to him about that and why he decides not to do it. We'll also talk about rub. We'll talk about the engineering of rub, the naming of rub, a whole bunch of good stuff. Plus, he had the folks from Primo in last month, and he had mentioned that there was a unveiling, or on Wednesday, or that next day that he was on Wednesday, there was going to be an unveiling of a Primo XXL. I thought I had first looks at that about a year ago at the HPB Expo, but maybe they've done some revisions since then, and he got to see it, so we'll talk all about that and what he likes about cooking on a Primo. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the YouTube chat, and I'll try and mix them in where I can. And then after Malcolm, we'll be joined by a first-time guest, a fellow Clevelander and somebody that's operating in the barbecue space, business, catering, food trucks, pop-ups, Darren W. Carter of Carter's Barbecue. Carter's BBQ216.com, his website, if you want to do a little pre-interview research on Darren. So we'll talk about what it's like to get into the barbecue business here in Bomb City, USA, why one would want to do that, what his ultimate goals might be. And he's got a very unique story. Somebody that has been doing a daytime job and also moonlighting, and then eventually got away from the daytime job and made the moonlight the full-time job. He's also had to battle the pandemic. He was a recipient of the Preserve the Pit last year. So we'll talk about all that fun stuff. So closing the hour, my pal Darren Carter, and then we'll move second hour. He was here last week upon request, sitting in with the embedded correspondence, but back in the second hour during that 14 past the second hour segment. Sam, the cooking guy, is back, believe it or not. Can't believe he's backing it up, but he said he was going to do it. And indeed, he is ready to rock and roll. Plenty to talk about when it comes to Sam. And then closing the show tonight, usually when I'm talking cigars, it is with one of the co-hosts of my favorite cigar podcast, the Cigar Authority podcast, Mr. Jonathan. But tonight we are bucking the trend and going with our very first brand/maker of cigars, Jeremy Ellis from McAuliffe Cigars. These just happen to be, what do I want to do? No, I'll get it. Listen to that rap. These are two of my favorite cigars. You'll notice one is a little longer. This one here, that's the Toro size. And then you have the Robusto size. Both roughly the same ring gauge, but you can tell quickly that the Toro size is an inch longer. What does that mean for you? Longer smoke time, different way the blend hits your palate because it's not in the same format as one another. So we'll talk to Jeremy about what it's like being a territory sales manager for one of the hottest brands out there, especially recently. There's also some kind of a partnership going on with another brand that happened a couple months ago. So plenty to end the show with, talking about premium hand-rolled cigars and one of my favorites currently, that being the McAuliffe Black Line. So once again, Malcom Reed, Darren Carter in the first hour, and Sam the Cooking Guy and Jeremy Ellis in the second hour. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can go to Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show, and also over at YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, because they have to be different. And because they are different, they earn a new YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this. As an adult, have you ever been punched in the face? For real. Answer for real. Have you ever been punched in the face as an adult? 73% of you are saying no. 27% of you are macho. You have done something, or maybe not done something, and gotten the old sucker punch to the kisser. For me, no. I can't begin to imagine a situation that I would knowingly put myself in that would also allow me to get punched in the face. I have no thought of trying to show how tough I am to somebody. If I feel like there's going to be eminent physicality, even at cresting to 50 years old, I am a very fast runner, not only quick in the sprint, but I can run a good 3.1 miles before I start to tuck around. So in many respects, while I might not be looking to take a punch, I can certainly outrun you in the opposite direction and retreat quicker than the French, if you know what I mean. So we'll see how the rest of that plays out here through the course of the show. And we do have the results of last week's poll question. Was if you are competing in the KCBS now, you would question the results as being accurate. And we finished out with 89% of you saying yes and 11% of you saying no. Reaction to the show last week, mixed in topics, of course. Lots of you were dazzled by the Travis Brown interview in the first hour that also bridged into the second hour. The word that seemed to make the most appearances as people were describing it to me through email and direct message, the word intense came up the most. I don't disagree. There was a lot of freely shared information by Travis talking about his background that I didn't expect. I thought his sharing of his father's passing and the cause being acute alcoholism was very bold. Also, his answering the question, how does a 10-year-old or an older version of himself process that loss? Very raw. I thought that was a moment where we all flashed back to when it actually happened, and we were all sharing in that reaction in real time. Very vulnerable of him, and I appreciated that very much. A number of you also mentioned that you took advantage of the $10 ground box, 10 pounds of ground, I think he called it. And you could also add another 5 pounds of meat if you wanted to in there. So another 5 pounds of ground beef if you wanted, or maybe some of the steaks if you were looking to try it. Not a sponsor of the show, but good people who are, in appearance at least, looking to do the right things when it comes to ranching. So certainly I'm all about that. And then, of course, the second portion of emails reacting to Sam the Cooking Guy sitting in for the embedded correspondence last week. I'll say the vast majority like the breakup. I quickly pulled the embedded correspondence after the show because they are most important to me in regards to feeling how the concept went over. Luckily, they all liked it. And yes, they would be honest if they didn't. Of course, there were some of you that thought it bucked the dynamic of how you have come to know and love that segment. But I've never been one to try or not try stuff out just to see how it plays within the show and, of course, with the audience. So, while it might not be something that happens every month, I could certainly see it happening a few times a year. And even then, based on Sam's availability, very busy, owns a business, multi-venture personality, got his hands on a lot of things. So I'm always grateful for the time that he gives to the show, and he's backing it up this week, believe it or not. So you see him in the second hour. Before we get to Malcolm, by the way, who's not in the box, which is scaring me tremendously, we're going to be talking about Schwank Grills. How do we spell it? SCHWANK, Schwank Grills. Let me start with the promo off this time. Go to schwankgrills.com. And as you pick between the gas-powered models that you can choose from, liquid propane or natural gas, you pick the one, you start to check out, and then it's going to ask you for a promo code if you have one. Well, you do. BBQ Central at checkout. BBQ Central will save you $150 off a Schwank grill. It's that easy to save money and enjoy restaurant-quality heat. Now, totally portable, so if you want to take it to the women's Final Four, throw it in the car, drive up here. You can find a number of places to use it that are hotly available. Now, while it will warm to 1,500 degrees, or should I say fire up, because it's got infrared burner technology, you have a number of level settings. So if you know you're going to be cooking something a little bit more delicate and you don't want to have that heat intensity just raining down on it like you would a steak or something else you're really looking to put a hard sear on, you can put it all the way at the bottom if you want. I've mentioned it the last couple weeks. It has a drip tray, so not only is it catching the juice that you might be able to reuse, but you can make a sauce within the drip tray because that heat is cascading down. It can melt butters and other fats. You can season it however you like, and then once the protein's done, I recommend dropping it right in that drip tray as a little bit of a fancy sauce or a board sauce, except it's in the drip tray. Now, you might be asking yourself, who's using this stuff? Lots of influencers around there, but forget about that. Let's talk about real business. You have places like Morton's Steakhouse, Del Frisco's, Cut 432, just to name a few. And remember, at 1,500 degrees, you can build a great crust on both sides of your steak if that's what you're cooking, and you're not overcooking it. Just a really great sear, really great crust. You can do burgers, you can do lobster tails, you can do chicken, all in a breakneck speed. And speed isn't sacrificing quality, no way. Look here on the video, shish kebabs if you want. Everybody loves shish kebabs, whole fish. Here's the most important part again. Take advantage of it. Now, many of you have. You're telling me how much you love it, which I certainly appreciate. So I want to keep saving you $150 every month from here to forever. Go to schwankgrills.com, Schwank, SCHWANK, grills.com, and then use code BBQ Central at checkout. We'll track down Malcom Reed here in just a second. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com. Your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. You visit cookinpellets.com. You get all the information you want. You see what kind of great products that they have to offer. And then when you're ready to buy, head on over to Amazon.com or Lowe's.com or Walmart.com. Same great selection of products, except they have much better shipping rates than cookinpellets.com can offer you. So use cookinpellets.com as the reference material to see exactly what they have, and then go to the big websites for great shipping rates and the same products, Amazon.com, Walmart.com, Lowe's.com, and you can take it from there. I have been trying to... Oh, dude. No! Where's my ba-ba boo-hi sound effect? Where is it at? Here we go. Oh. Can't even hear it. Hold on. Let's go in here. That's not even the right one. Yeah, that was the right... No, that's not. V McShots. Now we're going into the loser horns. Where is that? Oh, here we go. I'm going to make up for it now. No! Yes. Oh, dear. So while we were in break, I said, hey, quick email off to Malcolm. How quick, you might ask? Subject line, we're on. Shift, hold number 1 down. That's the exclamation point. Anywho, text message, same thing. Just got message back. I can be there in 15. We set it up. I have everything ready to go. Got sidetracked. Uh-oh. Yeah. Well, 15 minutes ain't going to cut it because that only leaves 3 minutes of interview time. So let me just text Malcolm back. No time for the interview. All right. Well, friends and neighbors, I have terrible news. If you're just tuning in and you were looking for Malcom Reed, it's not happening tonight. Oh, curses. We had him. We almost had him. No, we didn't. I wonder if every sound effect on this board, how did that happen? I got nothing on there. All right, well, luckily I don't really use that one, so that's fine. Here's a bit of advice, as we say, word of the wise. If you're running a live show, even when you have your best guests, the ones that have showed up for 10 years or more, right? What can you never do as the host? You can never count on anybody ever. What do I mean by that? You always have to have something prepared just in case something like this happens, so you can seamlessly transition into something else to fill 15 minutes of time. Now, you could sit here and complain and whine and moan and all that stuff, but who cares about that? Not your problem, my problem. Well, the good news is this. Smokin' Joe's Barbecue Pit wants to hear about our Easter. Joe, It takes about 6 seconds. Went to a brunch and came home. That's it. Well, we do need to update you on the YouTube poll question of the week, and voting is hot and heavy. I had a feeling. I put this question down, and I said, well, this isn't that great of a question. And then the more the days wore into the show tonight, I said, I really like this question. In fact, I heard somebody talk about it on nationally syndicated radio today. YouTube poll question of the week, by the way, is, as an adult, have you ever been punched in the face? And be for real, if you want to vote, you do have to go over to the YouTube show page, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. Don't forget the @ youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where you can vote. And 80% of you are saying, no, you have never been punched in the face. I thought it might be a little bit more 50-50. I think my audience is a little bit more macho, a little bit more provocative, a little bit more irreverent in that realm, if I might say. But in the end, I'm glad to say that all of you are perhaps more lovers than fighters, and perhaps even more than that, you can read a room. You're not putting yourself in a situation where somebody's natural reaction is to punch you in the face for something that you said. They might want to talk it out a little bit. Maybe they just walk away. Or maybe you are word wise. You know how to use your words. You are constantly evaluating the environments that you're in. You realize maybe you're stepping into a hostile environment, so you're just going to dial it back right from jump. That's me. I'm not there at all. Matt Osmond wondering if we'll hear from Greg's parents. Will we listen to Greg got his new graphic? Will there be a mini rant about Kingsford? I don't have a call-in line, so Matt, there is a 0% chance that my parents are going to be calling in. The new graphic right there. The bug, I think, is what the industry term is. Was something I just found within the software. I'm just trying it out. Everybody saw it. I saw it pop up there on the instant chat, which I certainly appreciate. Everybody likes that. And that carries over into the other boards, too. So you can see it. It's a little bit smaller. I didn't know if it was going to carry over from one shot to the next, but it does. By the way, that's Malcom Reed's shot there, in case you didn't notice. Malcolm, no, still not there. No, indeed not. Malcom Reed still not there, but we're working through. So, and no mini rant about Kingsford. I have no mini rant. Their marketing is good. Traeger's marketing, good. I will get to my take that I didn't get to last week in the second hour on what Traeger was doing and why there's some murkiness still. But I'm not going to sit here and pound on Kingsford. If they want to sell two different kinds of charcoal, one they've already done before, that low and slow, I believe, then that's their prerogative. For some reason, I feel like Kingsford isn't putting anybody over a barrel to any extent. And time will tell on that. Actually, I could reach out to somebody who's a spokesperson for Kingsford and see what they know about retail price. Now, instead, what I have, do I have it? I don't know how this is going to show. Let me see. And this was something that nobody ever thought about. I have to get my... I guarantee nobody thought that the last 10 minutes of this segment, sans Malcom Reed, was going to go in this direction. Here's where we're forced. Because I'm always here to give you new content no matter what. A week ago, this past Friday, I went in and had something done just in case somebody didn't show up so I could talk about it. How about that? Now, look right there. See that? See this? Can you see that? Right, everybody can see it. Now, look, if you're listening on audio podcast, you're not going to be able to see it. You have to go back and get the video. But just past my ear, right there, you can see it, right? You can see it, yeah. They're like, what is that? That's drilled into my skull. I don't know how many of you go back to the show like 3, 4, 5 years ago. Number of you do. I've been through some ear surgeries over the last 5 years, and there's been at first it was trying to find the right ear person. I went to some doctors. They must have thought I was a spy because they were digging in my ear like I had the world's secrets and I was holding them. They were going to drag it out of me. But I finally found the right ear doctor, and he said, when did you have such trauma to your ear? Like, did you fall off a cliff and smack on the water directly on the ear, or some other type of traumatic event? Because what I'm seeing inside the ear is typically coming in from an ear traumatic event. And I said, I mean, short of diving in high school, but not competitively. I did like high dives, was very adept at the diving, flips, twists, whatnot, but never had a serious event. A couple back smacks, but never on the side of my head. I never jumped off a cliff and landed wrong. Nothing like, was never abused and smacked as a kid with open hand by either my mother or my father, nor any of my siblings smacked me in my left ear to the point where I might have been concussed and then suffered such ear trauma. So nobody can figure out where that's coming from. However, I did notice an increasingly loud whooshing noise in my ear, and I thought it would go away, and I suffered with it, and then saw this doctor, and he said, well, the mushing or the whooshing is one thing. However, you have this thing in your ear, the top of your eardrum, called the closteatoma. So the eardrum is sucked back into the inner ear, and a piece of skin or something got in that little attic and has now started to grow. It's probably been there for years. And I'm glad that you've decided to come in, because not soon. I'm not going to try and make this out like poor me, because trust me, far from poor me. But he said, hey, you just suffer with the white noise. This thing continues to grow. It grows back through your head. Eventually, it will sever your left facial nerve. So then the left side of my face goes paralyzed, like I had a stroke. And then eventually, now I'm talking 20 years, 25 years, it eventually eats all the way back through your head, gets into your brain, and then kills you. So yes, your humble host nearly averted death. Not really. But if I wouldn't have checked it or gotten it checked or bothered to do anything about it, in my 70s, I not only would have had a paralyzed left side of my face, wondering why the hell that happened, I would also be dead. Now, dead in the mid-70s, I can make arguments for or against. I'm of the mindset, always better to be the guy that said, Greg Rippey, gone too soon. Instead of being the guy that's, that motherfucker won't die. I want to be gone a little too soon than have worn out my welcome, if you know what I mean. So anyway, let's get back to it. Doctor said, hey, if we can do this one kind of surgery where we're going to take down the eardrum, we're going to go look in the middle ear where the hearing bones are, see what's happening there. Then we'll rebuild the eardrum. There's a really good chance your hearing comes back up to normal, and we'll go from there. Oh, sounds great. So I have no idea what the hell he did, but he stuck very small tools in my ear and worked them like a magician. I had no pain. And when they got through the other side of the eardrum, whatever that first hearing bone is in the Inca or the stapes, whatever the hell you call it, was worn away, completely gone. He's like, well, here's a hearing issue because part of that connection isn't being made. They put in a hearing bone prosthetic, if you can believe it. So then it, what am I trying to say? Fell out of place. The hearing didn't get any better, and the cholesteatoma came back. Oh, no. So a year later, we did it all again, just like the way I said it. And a year later, it didn't take. Not only did it not take, the cholesteatoma came back again. And he said, well, we can try it again. I said, I think I've had enough. Well, we can do this more invasive surgery where we're going to do a lot of the same stuff, except on the way out, we're going to increase the size of the hole in your left ear. So while I am wearing this in-ear monitor, it doesn't fit. It barely fits in because this was custom made to my original ear hole. And now I have a much bigger one. In fact, it's a safer ear after many rechecks over the last couple of years. No cholesteatoma. That's most important. So good for that. And the downside is it's a straight shot from right into the beginning of the ear on the exterior of the ear, going right in to my eardrum. So when it's windy or when I went swimming in the ocean or swimming in the swim spa or whatever, the water will slam into my ear and it's a direct shot into the eardrum, and now I'm off kilter. Same thing with really cold wind. Drives right up my ear, and I can lose my balance a little bit because, stability and balance in your inner ear. So I was at the doctor for my checkup, end of the year, and he said, well, looks like the hearing bone has become dislodged again, and that's why the hearing hasn't gotten any better. Maybe it's gotten worse. So they were cleaning out the ear. He looked back in and he said, well, hearing bone's gone. How could that be? It's behind the eardrum. So they were rooting through some of the ear gunk that they took out. Lo and behold, with very small tweezers, pop, there it is. The hearing bone, the prosthetic hearing bone, came through the eardrum somehow, never had any pain. He said, the good news is this, came through the eardrum, has healed itself perfectly. I don't even have to do anything to fix it. I said, great. He said, you're a candidate for a hearing bone implant. I said, well, what's that? He said, well, we're going to put this thing in your skull. This thing, right there. This bolt. We'll put that in your skull, and then a month after that, we're going to put what looks to be like a mini speaker on your head. It's going to click right in there. This isn't a cochlear implant. This is a hearing bone implant. And I'll have like a little speaker sitting right here that will catch the sound, and then it transmits it right into the hearing bone, whatever the hell you call it. All I know is they took me into the operating room. They put me out. They drilled the pilot hole into my skull, and then they put this thing in there. They said, don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt. Tylenol and Advil for pain if you have any. And to the guy's credit, it didn't hurt at all. Nothing. So now, in like 3 weeks, I'll go to the audiologist. We'll get they're calling it a speech processor. So I'll be able to hopefully hear much better. There's been 99 people out of 100 that have great success with this. I'm just hoping for a little bit better hearing. I'm not worried about the aesthetic. I mean, look at me. Do you think I care? And then I'm getting a TV streaming device. So you hook it up to the television, you Bluetooth it within the app because everything's got an app, and then it's going to stream the sound from the TV to my speech processor, and I can control the volume of the TV on the app, and you don't have to even touch the volume on the TV at all, number one. And then I'll have like a microphone that you see on all the videos anymore on Instagram. It'll clip to your shirt, and you'll talk, it'll pick it up, and it'll send it right to my ear speech processor. Also, Bluetooth to the phone, so if you call me, I can have your audio go through my speech processor, and then as I'm talking on the microphone picks up my voice and sends my voice back through the phone. I mean, how high-tech is this? It's wonderful. Look at this age we're living in. I can have both ends of the spectrum. I can have hardware installed in my head, much like it would be in the 70s. And then I could have speech processors and Bluetooth connectivity and all this other shit on my phone to hear. So I don't need a hearing aid. Like, I don't know, we could discuss whether you think having a hearing aid is aesthetically more pleasing than having this bolt on my head. Once again, if you're just tuning in and you missed it, you have to go back on the video to get the archive. And if you're listening on audio and you want to see what I'm talking about on my head, then you go and catch the video archive after the show has ended. So we'll see how it's going to work out. And now that you know, now that I went to make sure I had a piece of content ready to go, just in case, so I was not going to talk about this, now we're all up to speed. We're all sharing in my hearing deficiencies together. Not only am I aesthetically displeasing, my hearing is at a 0.0 in my left ear. Darren W. Carter is ready to go. We're looking forward to chatting with him. You tired of settling for mediocre grilling experiences? Yes, you are. It's time to step your game up and bring the ultimate flavor and cooker to the backyard barbecues and grilling sessions. Pits and Spits charcoal grills offering the highest quality live fire cooking experience you can get in the market today. Using either wood or charcoal, their solid fuel grills produce those classic flavors you're looking for when you have the time to fire up the grill and cook for family and friends. With a large adjustable fuel tray, you can raise and lower your fire to control and fine-tune the heat. Their take on the very popular Santa Maria style grill. So if you've been in the market but you don't really like a full Santa Maria style grill, but you like the concept of the Santa Maria style grill, then Pits and Spits is the one you want. Check them out online, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central, all spelled out. Remember, double T on the Pits and the Spits. And you can use promo code Charcoal Central, not BBQ Central, Charcoal Central on this one. And you can save the same $150 off that you would save on the Schwank when you use BBQ Central over there. Charcoal Central for Pits and Spits will save you $150 off. Head on over there right now and fall in love with the only charcoal grill that you will ever need to buy again in your whole life and your kids' life. Food trucks, food, barbecue, catering, and pop-ups, and it's all right here in Bomb City, USA. Have I teased you enough? Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, and Fireboard 2 Pro. You can monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. You can connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. I had my first very successful Fireboard Drive long cook. So if you have the Fireboard Drive and you have a ceramic cooker especially, and you're struggling with it, reach out to me. I have 2 or 3 tips that perhaps nobody is telling you about because there's not a lot of great YouTube videos yet up on it, but I might actually post some. So fireboard.com is the place to go to get one. And if you have questions, 816-945-2232 to ask questions. That's the good folks over at Fireboard. My next guest tonight has been, well, I guess I should say my first guest tonight, has been doing the food truck catering pop-up thing barbecue-wise since 2019. He's been doing it here in Cleveland, no less. While you will rarely hear any negativity coming from me when it comes to Bomb City, USA, it's hard for me to make a great case that a barbecue business is something that can easily succeed here in town because 7 months out of the year, It's freezing cold. And if you aren't replete with a dining room, you aren't going to find many people in town looking to line up outside, no matter how good the food is. So I am happy to welcome a first-timer to the show, a co-owner of Carter's Barbecue, my pal Darren W. Carter, joining me here on the show. Darren, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody before we get going here this evening, which is this. As an adult, have you ever been punched in the face for real? Yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
no.
Good.
No.
All right. Well, 75% of the YouTube voting public has also not been punched in the face, which means 25% of my audience has been punched in the face. And voting is feverishly continuing over at YouTube. So if you want to vote there, get on over to the YouTube page and vote. Darren, Cleveland born and bred?
Yes, sir. 216 is in my blood, man. Thank you.
East side,
by the
west
way,
side?
East side. I mean, you know, when I was little, going to the west side was like going into Detroit. It was like such a difference. But yeah, East side.
East side is the best side. That's what we say.
It is. It is.
Before getting into the barbecue business, Darren, were you doing other stuff professionally? I had mentioned you were kind of a moonlighter at this for a while. So what else were you into?
Actually, I was down at, it's Cleveland Cliffs now. It was ArcelorMittal, excuse me, before, but we all know it here in Cleveland as LTV Steel, you know, the LTV Steel. So I was making steel, and I did that for about, I think 7 years before I left. And it was great pay. I didn't like it, but it was great. The benefits were great. I was able to do a lot for my family. But you know, when your heart isn't in it and you are around something that's so dangerous, you got to take a second look at what you're doing.
Were you messing around with the furnaces and stuff?
I wasn't in the furnace. I was in what they called the caster. So what we did was actually took the liquid form of it and casted it to a solid slab. And, you know, to have a breakout or overflow or a mold or, you know, that's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. You know, 28 plus 100 degree steel spewing everywhere is not a good thing.
Yeah, you could wind up with a burn.
A little one. And it you know, I was old, but I wasn't, you know, meal old. And then I already had some issues going in, but it quickly, you know, my health, it just went on the decline. It deteriorated. I had to get my shoulder surgery, rotator cuff, and I still really need this one. I'm just not getting it. My foot was an issue. Dehydration became an issue. What other issues I had got worse. So after a while, because this decision was it wasn't made on a whim, but it kind of happened on a whim. We had a 3 to 5 year plan about how I was going to finish out. But the business was, you know, the barbecue business was good. And I missed more working, you know, the first year when we were doing the part-time. I probably could have made up, you know, before what we were doing. But with the sense of all the injuries and some other things going on, at that time, I was on sickness and accident because my foot had just came out of cast. And I just looked at my wife one day. I was like, I just cannot go back there. We had saw somebody that we don't know, but a Clevelander, David Arnold. I don't know if you're familiar with him, the comedian from Cleveland. We had just saw him in his Christmas Netflix special the year before. And one day we saw him, you know, talking about what he's going to do for the week. And then we wake up and he's gone. He's dead. So with that, the pending issues with my body and, you know, some other things, we were just like, I can't go back. And I didn't. So that was January 23rd of last year. So last year was a good year. Now that you mentioned it in the intro, winters are difficult here, but there are places where we can set up that people still kind of, you know, they still kind of do well. But you have to plan for it. They ran for a lot of trucks here in Cleveland. They do shut down, but you know, our local truck parks like Beechwood and Lakewood, they stay open and they are attended. So you just have to make sure though that you prepare, you know, when it's bountiful for when the winter comes.
You always into live fire cooking, even when you were growing up? Was your family into it?
I was a watcher at the time. My father, we had the barrel grill, the 55-gallon cut in half. So it wasn't, as we know it now, offset or anything. It was all just, hot and fast. We had to put it in vinegar overnight, the ribs or whatever we were doing, so they get tenderized that way. So as we cooked them over the coals, just a flip, flip, flip. So I was just enamored that he was the man when he was on the grill. That's what I saw. Everybody couldn't wait for, Carter to get done with the, stuff off the grill. That's what I wanted. I wanted that. I wanted to grow up, have a, family, 2.5 kids, a dog and a picket fence, and do some barbecue. And I did that, without the picket fence and some other things, but it just end up when I did get a family and started to go into some things, I found a pitmaster show. And once I saw one of the pitmaster shows, I was like, what is this thing, this offset they're talking about? What is this layers of flavor and what is this smoke stuff I'm hearing about? And from there, that's when I went down a rabbit hole. That's when I got my own little barrel, but, put the coals on one side. This barrel was really horrific, but it's still in my backyard though, by the way. Putting the coals on one side, it has no vent. So I had to kind of like creep open the bottom and drill the hole on the other end. And from there, just started to go down a rabbit hole, man. And ever since, it has been a piece that I can enjoy when everything else in my life is going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Something about the crackling of the fire is, it's just it's a calming thing, and the time it takes. And I am a very impatient person, very. But when it comes to barbecue, I don't mind doing the all night cooks. It gets a little tiring the day after, but I don't mind that. I don't mind the process that it takes for a brisket to take. I don't mind, the thought process it goes into to try to make a rub for something to fit what it needs to fit. So I found my river. I had found my river, and we've been going pretty good from there.
You have a favorite barbecue restaurant in Cleveland outside of Carter's Barbecue?
In Cleveland, outside of Carter's Barbecue, favorite.
Doesn't have to be open existing. I mean, it could be one that shut down too. So
okay, now this is what I say. I grew up on a lot of the older ones, Whitmore's, Hot Sauce Williams, Webb's. Webb's is where I learned. Webb's is closed down. It used to be on 93rd and Union. That's where I learned about rib tips.
I think all those are closed down that you just mentioned, right?
Pretty much. Whitmore's is still open. They have one on.
That one in Euclid?
No, Whitmore's in Euclid. No. They have one on in Harvard, Harvard and Green. I think that is it is Harvard and Emory or something like that. And there's that building is still there. Mount Pleasant, Kim's, of course, but they're not barbecue, but they're more, wings and then you have Open Pit, but they've changed hands so many times. The name is still there, but the recipes aren't. But I would have to say, shoot, I don't know. I would have to go shoulder sandwiches. I always got from Whitmore's. Wings, as you know, that's Cleveland barbecue, black barbecue. You got to have wings. I don't, but you got to have wings. Would be Open Pit, and I had to stick with where I fell in love with the tips with Webb's, Webb's barbecue. And then there was Dawson's barbecue. I used to eat those a lot when I was younger too. Yeah.
So you started.
You got a rich history.
Oh, I mean the Cleveland barbecue history is decades old, and yeah, for sure. 2019, you get into the barbecue business, and how was, as somebody who was having both feet in two different careers at the time, how did you navigate the pandemic successfully?
Thankfully, at that point, 2019, we had just started, and we were just selling rib dinners. So that's how we just started out, selling rib dinners. And it got to a point where it was like, okay, wow, we're going to step this up, a little bit. 2020 was going to be a breakout year for us. And then, as that year that we don't like the name, which we just did, came about, but then COVID hit, we throttled down because work was always changing with schedule. And, we were doing it like we weren't supposed to be doing in the beginning out of our home. So that did a lot for us, just to throttle. We would just do something here and there. So we was like, okay, 2020. All right. So we didn't do it then. Let's break out in 2021. That's when we were going to, find how we were going to ramp this up. That's when I got knocked out for a whole year of barbecue and work with the shoulder surgery for my rotator cuff. But it was at that point that we were like, okay, obviously something's going to happen. This is not going away. What we're going to do. So we looked and see how we could get funding to try to figure out a way to move this forward. And we figured a food truck would be the best way, because we're not doing a brick and mortar. We weren't that business savvy, but we knew at least a food truck was low overhang and, overhead, and we can go wherever we wanted to with it. It was mobile. It was a good thing. I didn't need to have everything in there. I just needed my smoker. We're good to go. So we started a campaign for Honeycomb Credit. It is a crowdfunding campaign, but this one is not like, a GoFundMe or an investment where you get equity. This one is, we paid you back with interest. So whatever our rate was, we was able to pay you back interest. So, if it was 10%, just to say a number, you give us $100, you get 110 back, over the course of time. And if you were going to, and at that point we liked it, because we're saying, if you're going to, because we were denied traditionally, by the way, if you thought about enough of us to give us the minimum 100 or even more, well, yeah, we're going to work to make sure that you get what you get back and more. And it worked. It was able to get us enough money to put down a down payment on the trailer, put a down payment on our smoker, and get everything going. And if it wasn't for Honeycomb, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about doing, trailer barbecue.
What's the hardest thing you had to learn over the last couple of years, outside of the pandemic, and now you're trying to build the business, doing it full time? What's the hardest thing you've learned that you would tell somebody else?
Timing. For with me, and I still haven't learned it yet, is when, for cooking, for me, having time to make sure that I, can get some rest and all that kind of stuff, because barbecue is not like, a regular food truck. You got some little prep, but you can cook on the truck and you're good to go. No, ours is already have to be done by the time we get there. But timing and making sure all of your P's and Q's, your licenses, your insurances, all that is in order, because, the money's in the paperwork. If you don't have the paperwork, then you're going to be ended up losing some money somewhere. And, it's good that people believe you, and it's good that people support you, which they will, but only you really see the vision. And you have to keep that with you. It's like a dream. Nobody can get in your head and see your dream. And as much as the people want to help you 110%, it's still your dream. Hold on to that and let the people realize that through you too, as well, the people that are supporting you. That was a big factor to me. And it also stops you from being disappointed if somebody can't see what you see, but they can't, because it's in you. But a lot of times I think when we try to explain our dream, when we tell somebody and they don't grasp it like we don't think they should, that is, that they're not really supporting or whatever. No, it's just that they just don't see that part of the dream for you. But they can't, and they're not supposed to.
You were a recipient of the Preserve the Pit last year, 2023, correct?
Yes. 2023 Preserve the Pit program. It is the third year. So I'm one of 3, 6, 12, I think, over the 3 years. And it is poised to help the people in the Black community keep the preservation of our history in barbecue. And what the program does, it hits us up with mentors that are, big in the game. We had Rashia Jones, Rasheed Phillips, my mentor, Kevin Bledsoe, friend of the show, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
Pat Neely, and, and some others, Brian Furman. And these are, heavy hitters in the barbecue community and what they're doing in their businesses. And we are allotted and able to talk with them and, get business sense, get barbecue sense, anything to make us successful. Amy, she was her, how she broke down finances for us and some type of things was just like It was wonderful, you know. So some of those things that you may know and you may not know, but you always get something as somebody who's been in the business for a long time and could tell you the pitfalls. And there was a stipend that went with it. There was a grant that came with it, which is great. And then we build a relationship. Now, our particular class, we're close. We still talk over text. We're still able to call our mentors at any and every time. Get a little charcoal here and there when you need it, which is great. And yeah, they came up with those 2 new charcoal bags. I refrain to comment from that, but it was. I appreciate especially what all is going through, and I would love to say that it was all my barbecue prowess and what I cook on the smoker, but it wasn't. A big reason was because of the podcast that we have called The Unknown Black Pitmasters. And that is a podcast that I do on Instagram that we highlight Black barbecue enthusiasts and pitmasters all over the land, whether it's somebody in business like me, a backyard savant, or somebody like a Kevin Bledsoe, all in between. And we're just trying to build a community. For one, we have had a huge part in America's barbecue, and I just don't want that to be forgotten. I don't want when people just say, "Oh, barbecue," well, then it's just Central Texas or the Carolinas or Kansas City barbecue. And even when you think of Kansas City barbecue, people don't know who we consider the godfather of Kansas City barbecue, Henry Perry. So it's something that's easily lost in our society today. So what we try to do there is highlight people so they won't be lost. So that's my purpose for that. And that was too a big sustaining reason for it as well. But it was a great summer. We got to go down to Memphis in May. Finally got to meet Chef Simon down in Memphis in May. And just the camaraderie of it all and the business sense of it all. The first night we were there, I was talking to Rashid and Kevin because I was like, look, these people, you got so many people. This is what they want us to do. This is how they want us to do it. And this is what we were thinking. And basically they wanted just to kick me out the shop because I was not charging enough. Not enough. So they got me straight. And, it was not a problem for the company that we were doing the catering for. But it showed me something and knowing my worth, knowing what we're doing, how much it takes to what we're doing with the time, the money, prices have risen even since then, but they were high even at that point. But, that kind of stuff is invaluable. It's invaluable. And it's something that shortens our learning curve, the people that, were fellows with me. And hopefully I can do the same for somebody else who has a question, each one reach one. Dude, I got the information. I'm not a gatekeeper. If it'll help you be successful, well, then let's go. Let's go.
Where are you setting up? If people are going to be in town for Women's Final Four this weekend, where can they get at you?
We have, tomorrow we have Beechwood. This week, actually, we have nothing to do this weekend, but Sunday. Sunday we are at Creative Space, and that's in Willowwick on
Lakeshore.
Lakeshore. Yeah, thank you, Lakeshore Boulevard. But I got a couple of feelers out trying to get downtown for there because got to get that money some kind of way. So I'm not sure, but my website will keep you up to date. As we do anything. And that's the best way to find out our schedules on our website.
And that's cartersbbq216.com, or you can follow him on Instagram as well. cartersbbq216, the handle there as well. Darren, appreciate the insight here this evening and continued success. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I still owe you that. I still owe you that lunch though. You still got to come get that lunch.
Don't worry. I'll be looking for it. All right, pal. Thanks for coming on. There he is. Darren W. Carter. Again, the website, Carter's, plural, cartersbbq216.com, and on Instagram at cartersbbq216. So give him a follow. Always love when good things are happening in Cleveland, especially when it's barbecue and grilling related. You mentioned some bangers as far as staples of Cleveland barbecue. I'm not going to say Cleveland style, but barbecue places within Cleveland. Webb's, Whitmore's, Hot Sauce, Mount Pleasant. I mean, nobody says Mount Pleasant. Bangers right there. All right, we're a little over, so we're going to play a little catch-up here, and then we'll get to the second hour. So I'd mentioned when we were talking about the fireboard that I used the Primo this past weekend. And what did I do? Something I haven't cooked in 5 years. What? A brisket? What? Fire? Look, I'm not the only one in the house. If it was just me in the house, I would be cooking brisket once a week. Not everybody here is digging the brisket, but Bobby came home. A lot of boyfriends, a lot of stuff for Easter going on here. Not the actual day itself, Joe, but just because also there was a holiday on Sunday. So Friday into Saturday, 4 pork butts go on the Traeger Timberline 850 and a 10-pound brisket, well trimmed from Mr. Brisket, but I paid for it. Nothing for free from Mr. Brisket, of course. But went on, locked in the fireboard, and that Primo accommodated that really big piece of meat without issue because I have the XL. The oval shape really accommodates the bigger cuts. And man, once the ceramics were heated up, I don't know if that thing budged off of 225 for 11 hours. I had a whole different method that I used. And while I am no brisket expert, finished product was really good. Very good. Everybody was happy with it. What are you worried about all the time? We're going to make brisket more often. I mean, don't fool me. I know. You can do it as well. Everybody's looking to get a Primo now all of a sudden, by the way. PrimoGrill.com. That's PrimoGrill.com. Only sold through dealers. Find one near you. That's PrimoGrill.com. See all the different size ovals. Buy the one that is best for you, and then away you go. Primo. Of course, now with the XXL, we're trying to line up Nick Bauer to talk about that here in the next month or so. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we thank Darren Carter for joining us last segment. Carter's BBQ 216. That's the Cleveland area code, in case you didn't know that. CartersBBQ216.com, the website, Carter's BBQ 216 on Instagram, so give him a follow. And I would love to say we enjoyed our visit with Malcom Reed, but it slipped his mind this month. A shame. We'll move most of those questions over to next month, except even the May one I think will work out, since it'll be beginning of May when we have them on. Yeah, fine. Good enough. All right, we're pointing to the second hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wieners.
Now listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Hey, welcome to the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about all the most important things that are happening in the live fire barbecue and grilling world. The show originating from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on this show this evening, Sam the Cooking Guy is coming in, and Jeremy Ellis, first-time guest territory sales manager for McAuliffe Cigars. By the way, keep an eye out for this guy. Guy the Cooking Sam. When you see him in the chat, your mind is reading what? Sam the Cooking Guy. No, that's not who he is. That's Guy the Cooking Sam. Read carefully. Rule number 2 of the show, don't get hooked. I saw a number of you jumping in. Hey, Sam. Hey, Sam. Not Sam. Guy the Cooking Sam. Not Sam the Cooking Guy. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can go to youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, twitter.com/BBQ Central Show as well. There's a new YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this. As an adult, have you been punched in the face? And be for real, 77% of you are saying, no, you have not been punched in the face. Good. Good for you. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 328, taking you back to April 22nd, 2008. And it appears that in some instances, I have had conversations with legends of the barbecue and grilling industry, and I don't recall them. For instance, many years ago, I had a conversation with a legendary barbecuer and a legendary competitive barbecuer to boot, and business guy and pit builder and all the same, John Willingham. In fact, I'm going to hazard a guess that most of you in the chat box right now don't know the name John Willingham. Some of you, of course, do. You're steeped in that tradition along with me, but probably many of you don't. Meanwhile, I had a private one-on-one phone call for somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 minutes with one John Willingham. The problem is I don't remember any of that, not even 1 second of it. So in keeping with that tradition or trend this coming Friday, you will hear what was the first interview I ever did with legendary barbecue cook and businessman and rub maker Byron Chisholm of Bad Byron's Butt Rub. You might be asking yourself, how is that keeping with any trend? Easy. Because I thought the first time I had Byron on the show was last year when he did a great interview. But it wasn't last year. It was 2008. I was certainly sure that that was the first time he had done the show last year. But indeed, no, I was incorrect. In fact, he was on this show for the first time when the live show was only 2 months old. I didn't have him on, back in the beginning podcast days or anything like that. But I did have him on in 2008, which is highly embarrassing. Like, how don't I remember having a conversation with Bad Byron or John Willingham? I remember the first time I had Steven Reichlin on the show. I remember when I talked to Bill Cannon. I remember when I talked to Michael Medium Rare O'Donnell, for crying out loud. I don't remember John Willingham. John Willingham didn't even want to talk about the show, or he didn't want to talk about himself. Why am I even relating this to you? Because I don't remember it. This is John finding it in a show and called me. He's like, dude, tell me about this phone call with John Willingham. I'm like, oh, huh? I never talked to him. Oh, yeah, you did. Anyway, you can subscribe to the show by visiting thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe, where you can get not only replays of the Really Big Show, you can get the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. And if you want to hear a past guest or segment that has been lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you'd like to hear. John is Jon at thebbqcentralshow.com. I meant to get to this last week, but ran way over with Travis Brown that I mentioned. But I'm getting to it now because it's still as relevant a take as it was last week when I was going to run it out to you. And that is this: Traeger Grills collaborating with Louisville Slugger to create a new maple pellet. Now, My Michigan embedded correspondent on his own has continued to take Traeger to task personally on his Instagram account. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can find all of his reels over there. That's up to you to watch it. I'm neither encouraging it or discouraging it. I know we talked about it last week for a few moments. It was an assurity question. Sam the cooking guy took a shit all over me for being a Traeger hater, which is not fully the truth at all. But when you look into this particular collaboration, or whatever you want to call it, it is a little murky. I reached out to a number of folks on this topic, and it remains unclear as to what exactly is happening. And this is what I mean. I've heard from very reliable sources, not bullshit, very reliable sources. The Traeger is buying the same billets or wood blanks that Louisville Slugger uses for their bats to make these pellets, and that they actually aren't buying scrap. However, in contradictory, there are video promos that Traeger was running a week and a half ago, and you had two guys from Louisville Slugger saying that 2/3 of the billet becomes waste as they make each bat. It becomes scrap. I have no idea what Louisville Slugger was doing with the scrap prior to the collaboration, but for the time being, it appears that they might be selling the scrap to Traeger, and Traeger is making a Louisville Slugger branded Maplewood pellet for you to buy. There's a discrepancy in the information. I have somebody who was highly reliable telling me it's not scrap. They're buying the same blanks and then taking those blanks, grinding them, and doing the pellet process that way. But then you have video of two guys from Louisville Slugger saying, we're giving the scrap from the billets to Traeger, and they're making the pellets. In any event, it's coming in an 18-pound bag, and it's $28 retail cost. As I mentioned last week, for perspective, a 20-pound bag of traditional Traeger pellets is $20. So you're getting 2 pounds less in the bag, and you get the privilege of paying $8 more for said bag. Is this great marketing? Yes. Because people who are in the Traegerhood are in it. They will buy anything the Traeger makes blindly. They think it's the best thing ever. So for all the other companies out there complaining about lack of loyalty and their customer base, call Traeger up and get the freaking playbook, because they have done a masterful job at this part, without question. But squad, check me out. It's a maple wood pellet. Maple wood pellets are not novel to the industry. They have been around forever, and never once in the history of ever have they sold for a premium price compared to other flavors of wood pellets. If you go to Amazon.com right now and search maple wood pellet, you can quickly see that you can get a 40-pound bag from a leading manufacturer in the industry right now for less than $24. A 40-pound bag of cooking pellets perfect mix, which has maple pellets in it, on Amazon.com right now, $32. Much cheaper and much more. By the way, there's no charity being benefited here in the Traeger Louisville Slugger collaboration. It's a marketing program that is giving you, the Traeger customer, or non-Traeger customer for that matter, less product for more money. Be smarter than that, for crying out loud. Be financially judicious. Be a fiduciary of your own finance. That's what I was going to say last week. And now we are all much smarter together with all this information. It's competing. The information is competing with itself. Not only that, you're paying more for less. Do you call that a win-win? Sam the cooking guy, believe it or not, is in the green room and ready for a second week. Surprised he's not exiting stage left after that. Franklin Barbecue Pits is here. It is one of the premier offset pits available on the market today. It's made with mostly quarter-inch American-made steel. It can last over 100 years if it's cared for properly. A critical component to making great barbecue is professional grade heat retention, and that's what you get when you buy a Franklin barbecue pit. You also get the things that Aaron Franklin holds most dear. You get chaotic airflow. You get to see all the welds. You get to see this thing patina in its own unique way. You get a unique badge number. These can be found at certified Franklin barbecue pit dealers across the country. If you don't have one near you, don't worry. You can go to the website, franklinbbqpits.com. You can order one right there, and it will ship right to the bottom of your driveway, crated. And then you can get it right to around where you want it, uncrate it, roll it over, and away you go. Now you can make great Texas-style brisket or Kansas City-style brisket. I don't even know if Carolina has a style brisket, but Cleveland cooks brisket. I cooked one over the weekend, as I told you. It can hold a ton of food. It is as easy to learn as any offset could possibly be. No dampers to worry about on the fire door. All those cutouts with the Franklin logo and those oblong cutouts, all there on purpose to draw the air into the fire. This isn't a push fire, it's a pull fire, if you know what I mean. Now, if you are a barbecue store or a seller of pits and you're looking to bring one in, you've picked the right time. Get ahead of the grilling season because we are on the heels of it right now. Go to franklinbbqpit.com and fill out a dealer form, have a conversation with Matt Gase, and then you can strike a deal. I say get 4 or 5. Put one on the floor, have 3 or 4 in the back ready to go, and let the one on the floor sell itself. Everybody touch it, bang it around. I mean, this thing is indestructible. You'll thank me later. franklinbbqpits.com. That's franklinbbqpits.com. And we're back with Sam the Cooking Guy right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, available in 3 sizes, host of accessories. I love the Pit Barrel coffee mug. It's so cute. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a professional, it's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. You go to pitbarrelcooker.com and order. Tell them I sent you. Might get a free gift. Who knows? In the second hour, 14 past, who do you find? A YouTube cooking personality, a cookbook author, TV show host, a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. It is our pal in the second week in a row, Sam the Cooking Guy. I can't believe that you are backing it up from a successful embedded correspondence segment last week. Here he is again, once again, our pal Sam the Cooking Guy. Sam, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. So let me get your answer to this first. Wow, that's cool. As an adult,
I didn't mean to do that. I did not mean to make that shit happen. I just was.
So
I'm not
here's
going to
what
do
we
it
know.
now.
Here's
All
what
I
we know.
wanted to do was say, "Good." I'm looking forward to the question.
You can't hold up the peace sign because that makes balloons go up. You can't hold the thumbs up sign because that makes the thumbs up. That is some kind of computer that you have over there.
What does this do? Does that do anything?
No, but it's certainly giving off its own you-know-what.
Just checking.
YouTube poll question of the week, Sam. We're asking everybody, as an adult, have you ever been punched in the face for real? Yes or no?
No.
Currently, 73% of the YouTube voting public have also never been punched in the face for real. I am also in the 73%, but 27% of my audience has been punched in the face for real as an adult. I think that's shocking.
You know, about a year ago, I was standing in the park. We're about half a block from a Balboa Park, huge park. Dogs. They were both on leashes in my right hand, and I had earbuds in, corded ones, and I was talking to Max. And a transient I didn't recognize as a transient at first.
Is that a nice way of saying homeless?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe homeless is better, or unhoused. I don't know.
Unhomed.
This guy had shit going on.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm not really paying attention because I'm deep in conversation. And I don't notice him until he's about 10 feet away from me. And at the 9-foot mark, he picks up speed. He walks rapidly towards me. And as he gets within about 2 feet, he takes his, I got a mic stand here. He takes his right hand and he punches.
Takes a swing at you.
Oh, a huge swing.
Wow.
And I blocked with my left hand. And I think he got pissed off that he didn't connect, and he turned around and he started to walk away. That would have been maybe the only time. And as he walked away, I did, the stupid thing. I yelled a bunch of shit at him.
Yeah.
And he turned around to come back. But as I yelled and as he turned, 2 City of San Diego park guys were landscaping, 30 feet from me. And they heard this and they started to walk over. They were going to intervene and help. And now the guy saw, oh shit, now it's 3 against 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to give up. And he walked away. And
what a puss.
And they said, do you want to call the cops? I go, what's going to happen? Guy's going to be gone into the park by the time they get here.
Yeah.
I wasn't really, I wasn't hurt. He hit my arm. And so, but a little part of me feels like I'd be more of a man if I'd taken a hit in the face at some point.
I'll tell you what is very macho is you got the left arm up to block.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Like I would worry that if that was me, I would have took it right in the kisser. But you had just enough awareness, like, oh, this is not
I don't know how
normal.
that happened.
And then the haymaker comes, and then boom, block. I was gonna say, are you do you study jujitsu or something like that, or this was just a thing?
No.
Natural
Kelly and I out walking one morning, same street. We're chased by a homeless person.
Are you in San Diego or are you in South Central?
No, we're in San Diego.
Wow. I didn't think that you guys allowed that to happen down there.
We're out walking the dogs, and we're walking down, and then the dogs stop to pee or sniff or whatever, and you just stand there and you look around. And I see a guy, looks like he's about a block away, and he's got a big bundle of stuff. I see him put it down.
Yeah.
And then he walks backwards, and he grabs another bundle, and then he walks past that bundle half a block, and he sets that bundle down, and he goes back, and he gets the first bundle. You see what he's doing? He's got a lot of stuff to carry, and he can't carry everything at once. So he makes one trip, gets the other one, and he's advancing down the block. And when I finally figure out what he's doing, I'm like, oh, it's a guy is transporting his stuff. So we start to walk, and the dogs stop to pee or whatever again. And I see this guy. He's got no bundles now. Now he's walking towards us, quick stepping it. I say to Kel, what's going on here? What is this? And as he gets he's now like 3/4 of a block from us, and I'm like, this does not look good. I think maybe we need to cross the street.
Yeah.
So I pick up Lewis because he's the slowest because he's little, and we head across the street. And as we're halfway across the street, he starts yelling, "You better fucking leave! I will take you apart!" And you goddamn it! And I mean, drugs make the mind crazy. All I did was look.
Yeah.
And the second I realized what was going on, I stopped looking because I know you don't look. Looking is not going to be a good.
Oh, don't I know it? Don't I know it?
So yeah. So
hey,
happy Tuesday.
We talked about this maybe a year or two ago, or you had asked me about it. This is why you always carry a pocket knife. We're not going to get into why you carry a gun because it's very hard in California. But this is why you always carry a pocket knife. Aside from the infinite number of uses you would be able to get through and use it during the course of a day, for that specific instance, if something happened, you could produce it, you could get at this guy's neck, and that'll be the end of him, and you'd be a hero.
Listen. You think that someone is crazed when I whip out a little? What are you allowed to carry? 4 inches, 3 inches? How big a pocket knife can you carry?
This is
what is that?
It's
4
probably
inches?
4 to 6, 4 to 5. I mean, this will kill you.
You're legally allowed to carry that, right?
Hell yeah.
I don't know. So I feel like if I pull that out, it's just going to be like waving a red flag at a fucking bull. You're not dealing with regular people here, Greg.
You're not going to do this like the Sharks and the Jets in West Side Story.
What are you going to do?
You're
just going to start stabbing?
Flip it, and then you're going to take it into your defense. So now when he's coming at you, you can slip, boom, just like that.
Yeah, Sam the cooking guy kills a transient in Balboa Park.
Yeah, and he deserved it.
Was it South? Yeah. You know what would be better? Would be the thing from Star Trek. If I whip that out.
The lightsaber.
That would scare somebody off.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, look,
I'm having deja vu.
You've had exactly a week away from it. And a month ago, you asked to sit in on it with the Jets, the ECs.
Yes.
How do you think it went? I know you don't go back and listen to anything, but as you've had a chance to review it and potentially play it back in your mind.
Look, so I've backed off my position a little bit. I wrote you after, and I said, I don't remember what I said. Like, it was a dream for me. I listened to those guys. I've always wanted to be part of it. But I felt like I stepped on everybody's toes. I felt like I talked too much. I felt like I was the proverbial elephant in the room. And I said it was great, but it should not happen again. That's what I said. And I feel like maybe that was a little hasty, but I've since heard from. By the way, John Solberg wrote a really lovely email just to the info@thecookingguy.com address. Right?
You really get those?
Well, they come, and then they get this stuff that's meaningful gets sent to me.
All right.
Somebody that writes and says you're a douchebag, and why the F did anybody give you a channel on YouTube?
Yeah.
No, I don't need to see that.
You're saved from those.
Yeah. But so John wrote a really lovely note, meant a lot. I immediately texted him back, and I didn't hear from him. And I don't know if he doesn't check his texts. And I didn't want to now go email him back and go, dude, I texted you. So, John, if you're out there someplace listening, I texted you back. No need to respond, but I just wanted to make sure.
Did he put his phone number in the message?
There was a phone number in it. Yeah.
Is that in the form you have to fill out?
I assume, but no, I think it was no. I don't think it was a form thing. It was just info thing. And I assumed it was maybe it's a hard landline. Do people still have those? Do you have a landline?
Sure. Oh, not anymore. But I did for a while, but not for the last. It's got to be 7 years. I don't think I've had.
That's a good question for people who has a landline.
Oh yeah, that is. That's going to be. That'll be a question for next week.
Okay, put me down as a no.
What's a St. Louis slinger?
Did you see it?
I did. I didn't know anything about it.
It's delicious. It's chili. It's burger.
It's chili con carne.
Chili con carne. Oh yeah, Max, correct my pronunciation. Con carne. Chili con carne. There's eggs. There's
very Italian chili.
There's a big patty. It's fucking delicious. Some of that fat kid shit that we make is really fun. And people will look at me and they go, why are you not heavier? And I go, well, because I don't eat the whole, have a couple bites, man.
Yeah.
Have a couple bites.
St. Louis does have its own stable of local culinary bangers aside from that slinger, which again, that was the only one that I didn't know about. So you have specific to St. Louis, maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't know, toasted ravioli. Did you know that?
No, did I know it came from there?
Famous in St. Louis.
Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
Gooey butter cake. Famous for St. Louis.
I don't like
only
cake, but
St.
what
Louis.
is that? What
it's
makes it gooey?
It's like pound cake, but a little bit more rich and decadent.
Wetter?
I would say wetter.
Moister?
Yeah,
more
gooey
moist?
butter cake. And that's
Yeah.
only, you only find that in St. Louis.
I like the sound of that, though.
Frozen custard is the one. I mean, you can find that in a lot of different places, but frozen custard.
I don't care about that shit.
Barbecue pork steaks is a St. Louis delicacy, which
do you know why I know it's from St. Louis? You told me.
Oh, that's right. I did.
Lest the audience think that we only talk when we're here together.
Let them know that.
We talk once a week for sure, probably.
Yeah. On the
texting
phone.
for sure.
Yeah.
Texting a couple times a week, and we talk for sure at least once a week, I think, on something. And what were we talking? Oh, we had a conversation about something else.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Hey, what do you know about this?" And you go, "It's fantastic."
Oh yeah.
And so
it's great, right?
It was fantastic. It was so good. If you don't know what I'd be curious to know what because I can't convince Max that that's something worth doing.
Why?
Because he has a thing against pork. I don't know what it is.
I know what it is.
No, it's not that. Stop it. But
all right,
we did not. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Here's some other things. So the pork steak, St. Louis style pizza is a thing. It's like tavern cut, super thin.
I know that. What does tavern cut mean?
So instead of cut with your triangles, it's cut into rectangles.
Yeah.
So they call that a tavern cut.
Is it that's a round pizza cut tavern cut?
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Very thin. St. Louis style ribs, of course. And then the ever famous and hyper regional Provel cheese and the Mayfair dressing, which the Mayfair was a hotel back in the old days, and they were famous for their dressing.
Provel cheese, I don't know, am I making up that I thought I've heard of that before? But what is it? Is a hunk of cheese with dressing on it?
No, those are two separate things. Provel cheese is its own.
I got it.
A lot of St. Louis style pizzas will put a Provel cheese.
Oh, we'll have that
on
Provel
the pizza.
cheese. I understand.
But Mayfair dressing is its own standalone. So, yeah.
I got you.
How's the book doing? Any word from anybody?
Yeah. We're talking about next books already with my publisher.
Of the grills that you own, which one is your favorite to cook on?
That's tough. That's tough, my boy. I do like my new gas charbroiler an awful lot. I cooked on that today. I'm a pellet smoker fan, and that would be Traeger, the company that you loathe, hate, can't stand. And by the way,
untrue.
If they want to have a fun fucking collaboration with a baseball bat company, then let them have it. Okay. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter what you think. It only matters what the audience thinks. And for a lot of people that love baseball and Traeger, that's a fun collaboration.
Yeah.
Worth an extra $8? It doesn't matter what you think in their mind, certainly.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but I am the industry's leading opinion maker. So I will give my opinion. Thank you. It's my show.
It doesn't mean it's a right opinion. Yesterday we shoot 2 days a week. Normally, what's today? Tuesday? We shoot normally Sunday, Monday for YouTube. Today, thank you. Normally Sunday, Monday, but because Sunday was Easter Sunday, we didn't shoot. But we shot yesterday, and I used a simple little Weber,
like a kettle.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I used it again today. I did lamb on it. I did a rack of lamb on it today.
Oh,
out of the book, Sam the Cooking Guy and the Holy Grill. And holy S, was it effing delicious.
I love rack of lamb.
Yesterday, what did I do on it yesterday? Oh, yesterday I did picanha. Which, by the way, just let me say this to your audience. See what?
Very popular still, picanha.
What do you mean still?
Oh, it was it was a trend.
Negative.
No. I'm saying like it was very trendy year and a half ago and has kept right on being on trend. So usually you see a trend and eventually it falls off. But picanha
that's like saying a ribeye is a trend. No, A picanha shouldn't be a trend. Maybe picanha got noticed a year ago. I think that's closer to
I mean,
trend.
I'm just using social media terminology because that's where I saw it trending. Everybody started doing it.
Just let me talk to your let me talk to your audience for a second here.
Okay.
Listen, Barbecue Centralites. If you don't know what picanha is, it's also called a sirloin cap or rump cap. Comes from the ass into the cow. It's fantastic. They're not very big. They're triangular-ish, about that size, a couple pounds probably, maybe 2-3 pounds. When I bought one the other day at the butcher shop that I go to, as I was walking away, the person waiting in line beside me said, "Oh, what was that?" And the guy said, "Oh, it's picanha." And he goes, "If the ribeye is the king of steaks, the picanha is the queen." And the guy went, "Wow, I'd never thought of it like that." But I'm telling you, after I've now made it a couple times, made it yesterday and made it for a private event a week ago, a charity thing I did, people flip out for it. It is so effing good. You got to just buy one.
Can I talk to the audience for a second?
Go ahead. It's your audience.
Guys, I just want to apologize. Sam didn't mean to talk down to you, like you didn't know what picanha was or anything like that. He's just
I think I said if you don't know.
I'm talking to the audience. So, don't hold it against him. He just wants to make sure everybody's at the same level of play here. So don't hold it against him. All right,
anybody.
now we're back.
I did not talk down to anybody.
Is this mic on? I'm sorry. Did you hear that?
Yes, funny. I love the rotating Barbecue Central thing in the corner.
I didn't know if it was too much.
No, I love it.
You like the bug?
I love it. Yeah.
What am I making for dinner tomorrow night?
Oh, God, fuck, I don't know, man.
You know this question is coming every month.
I know. The video's not out, so I can't tell you to make that. Listen, can I have your people make? Can I have your people make salmon?
Yeah, Captain Crunch salmon.
No.
Oh,
it's Captain Crunch tuna. Which, by the way,
sorry,
never mind. Yeah, that's okay.
Same thing.
So here's what you do: you get yourself a little salmon fillet, a couple little pieces, whatever you want, right? All you're going to do is you're going to season it with kosher salt and pepper. Yes. Kosher salt, not because I'm Jewish, because table salt, iodized salt, you should just throw it the fuck out. Get rid of it. Never have it again in your home.
What about Celtic salt? You like that?
I don't know what that is.
I've been seeing it all over the place all of a sudden. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Celtic? Celtic?
Listen,
whatever.
Celtic. If it's a CELTIC, it's Celtic. Listen, all you need, just go buy Morton's kosher salt. That's what you need.
Yeah, I got it.
You go into any restaurant kitchen, that's what you're going to find.
Yeah.
That's what they use. The fancy sea salt is more expensive. Malden salt is nice. I used that yesterday in the picanha.
Isaac is the finishing salt.
But, for regular everyday cooking, kosher salt, Morton's the way to go.
Yeah.
So, kosher salt, coarse ground black pepper on the salmon, and then sesame chili oil. Which you can either buy as one thing, sesame chili oil, or you buy sesame oil, you buy chili oil, you mix them 50-50. You drizzle quite a lot of that on top of the salmon, flip it over more on the other side.
Oh my.
Just let it sit 2 minutes. That's all you need. Hot pan, non-stick pan will be perfect for this. Room temp salmon, in it goes. And you can watch it cook and change color. When it gets a quarter of the way cooked, flip it over. And you're using a hot effing pan.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a good crust. No skin. Well, you can have skin. I take the skin off because Kelly doesn't like skin. So you cook it 25% of the way, crispy, flip it 25% of the way, take it out, lots of chopped up green onions, which you wouldn't have because you're a little bitch when it comes to onions.
Yes.
But the rest of the listening audience that I did not talk down to, they're going to put green onions on top. And I'm telling you, if you cook it that way, 25% flip, 25%, it'll stay medium rare in the middle. If you want to use a thermometer, you want to yank it about 125 degrees. That salmon on some steamed rice, some of the best stuff you're ever going to have.
Wow.
It's in this house once a week.
Wow.
And then if you make extra the next day, You take that salmon cold out of the fridge, more green onion chopped up, little Japanese mayo, a little hit of sriracha. Now you've got a little salmon salad to have on a piece of toast. You could you could spread it on some toast and put a fried egg on top of it. You could have it like as a sandwich, crackers, that kind of thing. It's so effing good.
Intentional leftovers. How about that? We should write a book.
That's the point. I should write a book. What an excellent title. God, you're smart.
No doubt.
Why don't I listen to you more often?
You should be going to Sam's website and getting it's a revamped website, as we had mentioned a couple weeks ago. So all you need to do is put in what you think you might want to cook, and then you get videos and recipes, shopping list, the whole thing. It's great. 3.68 million of you are subscribed to Sam's YouTube channel, if you can believe it. And the website, thecookingguy.com for the recipes, and for the gear, it's shop STCG, Sam, thecookingguy.com. Sam, always appreciate the time. We'll give you 3 weeks off. What?
I know. Wait, why couldn't they believe it that we have that many subscribers?
That's just the thing. It's just the thing you say.
3.68 million, if you can believe it.
Yeah,
I listen to what you say.
Yeah, but I say that all the time.
It. Like,
but I say that all the time.
I can't believe Sam the Cooking Guy has 3.68 million subscribers.
Yeah, but
Maybe
I'm not saying
find
it
a different line.
I'm
Maybe
not saying
you
it
want
in
to
that
find
way.
a different line. That's how it comes out. 10 listener poll. Does it come out like that? I think it does.
I'll ask my next guest if he thought that it could have been construed as offensive. By the way, if you want to get schooled up on cigars, then you're going to want to, you listen to this like on Thursday when it comes out in audio podcast. But listen to me talk to Jeremy Ellis from McAuliffe Cigars. Is going to blow your mind.
I love listening to him. I love the fact that you guys have these in-depth conversations about cigars. And I like cigars. I like I don't know what size
Cohiba?
I like.
No. Corona.
I was trying to think. I love a Corona. That would be it. Yeah.
All right. SamTheCookingGuy.com. Here he is. Take the rest of the month off, and we'll see you beginning of April.
Thank you. Balloons, hearts.
Getting out of that before any of that happened. I think there were hearts. I think I have to get an Apple computer. That's enough is enough. Raise your thumb. You get all this weird stuff going on. Sam the Cooking Guy right there. Listen up, gang. Our friends at Big Papa Smokers have something special just for you, listeners of the show. Whether you're a seasoned pitmaster or a grilling newbie, Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. From their championship rubs, mouth-watering sauces, essential accessories, they've got what you need to take your food to the next level, whether you're in the backyard or on the competition circuit. And here's the cherry on top. Big Papa Smokers is offering the listeners of the Barbecue Central show an exclusive deal. Use the promo code REMPE, R-E-M-P-E. At checkout, you get $10 off your next order of $50 of rubs, sauces, or accessories, or a combination of all of that. So you can imagine the possibilities, can't you? You can evaluate your ribs with sweet money. You can add Big Papa's Desert Gold to your chicken, or better yet, pick up Double Secret and add it to your steak. It'll blow your mind. Head on over to BigPapaSmokers.com and start shopping and saving today. And don't forget to use the promo code REMPE, R-E-M-P-E, at checkout to claim your $10 off your next order of $50 or more. You can also check out Big Papa's full line of recipes at the website cookingwithbigpapa.com. And, of course, follow him on social media for all the amazing recipes as well. We're back with first-time guest Jeremy Ellis of McAuliffe Cigars. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rempe.
And we thank Sam the Cooking Guy for joining us last segment. TheCookingGuy.com is the website. This portion of the show, ironically enough, brought to you by JRE Tobacco. Makers of the Aladino line of cigars, the classic, the Corojo Reserva, one of my favorites. And 2 or 3 new releases as of last week. They have a 100% Cameroon now. We have the Puma Noche. It's all great stuff. You go to a retailer near you, can find one if you go to jretobacco.com. And if your retailer is not carrying JRE tobacco, firstly, how dare they? Second of all, tell them to get JRE, especially the Aladino lines, in, and you will be one happy premium cigar smoker. One of the big passions over the past few years that we have talked about on this show, of course, as the Reed would just mention, premium hand-rolled cigars. Our pal Mr. Jonathan from the Cigar Authority podcast has made a number of appearances to get us schooled up on the cigar industry. And tonight, I have my first representative from an actual cigar company, a company that makes one of my favorite cigars at the moment. We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's go ahead and welcome in the Midwest Territory Manager for McAuliffe Cigars, Jeremy Ellis, joining us here on the show. Jeremy, appreciate you joining me on the show. And before we get going with the cigar stuff tonight, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. And it's this. As an adult, you have been punched in the face for real, yes or no? Wait, I don't have you. Are you on mute by chance? Yes, you were on mute. You're still on mute, but I heard you click in. Now you're good.
Good now?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Yes?
Yes.
You now make up the 25% of the YouTube voting public that has also been punched in the face. 75% of us, I'm on the majority this time, which is rarely the case, but 75% of us have not been punched in the face as an adult for real. So that's do we want to know the story, or does that like happen? Is that a recurring theme?
It's definitely not a recurring theme.
Okay,
good. This happened definitely in high school.
Okay. So like 18 adult, like
18,
youngster?
Yeah, right. It would have been about 18, 19.
Nice. All right. Well, certainly that happens at those ages. How do you get into the cigar business?
You know, for me, I just had some friends that were, they managed cigar lounges in the Columbus, Ohio area. And I have been smoking cigars since 2012. Wanted to be in it, didn't know how to get in it. And so just put a word in with some friends, and McAuliffe took a guy who was teaching classes in prisons and said, we'll give you a shot.
Like you were you're teaching like reading, math?
No, I
like
was teaching
classes?
Leadership, healthy relationship, employment readiness, that kind of stuff. So
Wow. Are you into barbecue and grilling at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you like the low and slow more? Do you like the hot and fast grilling more? Or are you a fan of either or?
I'm a fan of either or, but I typically cook indirectly for the most part. It's a little slower. So, yeah.
Now, when you were talking about, I wanted to get into the cigar industry, as I've come to learn. So I'm in August, I will be celebrating my 3rd year of smoking premium hand-rolled cigars. I'll spare you the story of how I got into it and why this thing almost never happened. Were you like, I want to farm, I want to like grow the stuff, or I want to work the tobacco, or you knew you wanted to sell cigars? Like that was the type of cigar business you wanted?
So I think selling for sure, because I love the what cigars do. It's like the great equalizer in the room. You walk into a cigar lounge, doesn't matter where you're at on your journey, you sit down, you have a good hour and a half, unless you're like, say I'm gonna smoke a Corona, then maybe 30 minutes. But for the most part, you have an hour and a half, and it's just a good way for men to connect. Women now, I mean, that's what's growing in the industry right now, is more women smokers, which is awesome. So I love the atmosphere.
What region of the country are you covering as a territory manager?
So I'm Midwest, which essentially is Michigan to Chicago, down to Nashville to Pittsburgh, and everywhere in between.
Wow. How many stores are you currently servicing in that area? That's a lot. That's a big region.
Yeah, I don't know the actual. I know I have over 100 accounts. So, yeah.
And McAuliffe's the only brand you've worked for otherwise?
So we are now working with All Saints with Mickey Pegg. So about 6-7 months ago, that kind of marriage happened. So we're carrying both McAuliffe cigars and All Saints, but those are the only ones that I've worked for. Yeah.
So how does that relationship come to be? I don't want to get into the weeds here, but I knew about All Saints cigars 6-7 months before I was first introduced to McAuliffe cigars. They had won Cigar Authority's Cigar of the Year with their All Saints St. Francis. It was, I mean, it's one of my favorite cigars. I think I still have 4 or 5 in my humidor the year that they won that title, and they're just aging out wonderfully. And then Mickey Peg's obviously been, for the people that know cigar industry, he's been a godfather of cigars for many, many decades. And then you have McAuliffe. So how does I don't even know what you call it, alliance, partnership, melding, what is it?
Marriage, maybe.
Marriage, all right.
The unition of the two brands. I think how this happened was McAuliffe had its own sales force. Mickey Peg was going through a brokerage, met with Dan Thompson, who is the president of McAuliffe Cigars, and they had a good discussion. Said, you know what, you have X amount of accounts, we have X amount of accounts, and only 30 of them overlap. So maybe what we can do is bring this thing together, and wherever you have a foot in the door, it will help us get in, and vice versa. And so that's kind of how that played out through a conversation with Dan and Mickey, and then here we are as 2 different companies with the unified sales force.
Do you find that 6 or 7 months in, if a store is carrying an All Saint, that they're more apt to now bring in a McAuliffe line?
They're definitely more apt for conversation based on it. The thing that we battle most in the cigar industry is real estate. When you walk into a shop, they only have so much room in a humidor. And both All Saints and McAuliffe being kind of a boutique brand, they're not like your legacy brands like Rocky Patel and Fuente that sell themselves. It takes a little bit more sometimes for humidor managers to move the product. And so, we're always fighting for that real estate.
When you look at an All Saints portfolio and you look at a McAuliffe portfolio, how do they compare and contrast with each other?
So I think All Saints is very streamlined. Mickey Peg's been in the business for a long time, like you said, and so he has 4 lines with different sizes, so not very wide. And then he has a limited edition that he came out with, and then I know he's coming out with 2 more. On the McAuliffe side, we have almost 12 in our heritage line, and now we're coming out with 2 new ones, the black and the blue, which is 2 out of a succession of 5. So we have 3 more coming out in that line.
Wow.
So definitely a little bit more of a portfolio on the McAuliffe side, but they're a little older, and we've been working with the Gomez Sanchez family, and a lot of their heritage lines that we have now, like the Leyenda, the Riata, some of these have been ones that they have rolled from for a long time. So it just kind of made sense.
Give us the quick McAuliffe cigar history and how you feel McAuliffe separates themselves from other brands.
I'll answer that last question first. How they separate themselves is we are brick and mortar only. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, they did an open letter to Cigar International that included any other mega online store taking our product back and refusing to sell to any online company that's going to reduce prices and compete with brick and mortar. So you will not find any McAuliffe cigars online unless a brick and mortar carries our cigars in-house and they also have an online presence. And so it allows us to be able to support what's the heartbeat of the industry, and that's brick and mortar. And so that's one of the major, when I started working for McAuliffe, the thing that I love most was that their commitment to brick and mortar. And then the construction of their cigars, to me, is one of the best out there.
When we talk about, I mean, there's a lot of brands out there, obviously. So
yeah.
Is a McAuliffe what you would call a vertically integrated company, or do you do parts and not others?
No, yeah, we are now fully integrated, meaning we don't buy the tobacco, we buy the field. plant the seed and go from there. So when it comes to producing our cigars, it's one of the reasons why we can keep in our new line the prices lower. Is because we're fully integrated. There's no middleman. We do it all. And so we have our factory that's in Esteli, Nicaragua. We work out of the San Andreas Valley as well. And so, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But we are fully integrated. So it makes it nice.
Is the company based in Esteli or is it in the States?
Weatherford, Texas is where we are based. That's for those who don't know the story about Al McAuliffe, I'll keep it brief, but he made his money through manufacturing silicone. He had still does major manufacturing companies that he, I forget at one point, I don't know how many he had, but it was massive. Like anything silicone that doesn't go into the body. So all the other silicone. Yeah. He probably made or did something with.
Wow.
And so he made his money that way. And then he was a cigar connoisseur, was at one of his home lounges in Fort Worth, Texas, the Silverleaf downtown. And the Gomez Sanchez family was doing a rolling tour because they wanted to get their cigars in the United States. So they're in Fort Worth. Their car breaks down out in front of Silverleaf. They meet Al McAuliffe. They help them. Al helps them get their car and back running. They spend some time together. He asks them to make for him 1,000 of their best blend, and they did that.
Wow.
He loved it. Through a handshake, they said, "Let's go in partnership." So then Al got the warehouse in Texas. Got the factory in Esteli, and ever since then, there's been a partnership with Al McAuliffe and the Gomez Sanchez family. So it's a unique story.
Do you have a favorite cigar in the lineup?
Yeah, right now it's probably the one that just came out, the blue.
Really?
Yeah, I love the black. The black came out last year, and it is a phenomenal cigar.
These are my favorites right now in the McAuliffe line. Yeah. These are the blacks. So you got
the blacks.
While you're looking at a Toro on the right, which is the one that's a little bit longer than the one on the left, which is a Robusto. And boy, I mean, when I have just a little less time, Robusto, of course, and then if I have a little more time, the Toro's the size that won 2023 Cigar of the Year at the Cigar Authority podcast. And so in your expert way of bringing it across, they're different experiences, not like punch you in the face different, pardon the pun for the question, but they are different experiences because the vitolas are different. Why is that the case?
So obviously the part of the cigar that has the most flavor is the wrapper. And so if you have a Robusto, you're going to have a shorter cigar that's going to just be a little bit more pungent. And then the Toro, because of the length, kind of allows it to, I guess, not be as strong. I actually find both of those to be pretty similar, to be honest. So I don't think there's much difference in those sizes. You really start to see a difference in the ring gauges. So I have this one right here, this Corona. This is our Magdalia. This is a special edition. This comes out every March for International Women's Month. And it comes out that way because the one who blended this cigar was the matriarch of the Gomez Sanchez family. This was her cigar. And so we always come out and release this size. Now, this size, the Corona size, I think has the most flavor in every cigar. And it's because you're getting more wrapper because it's a smaller ring gauge. And so that's why I prefer that size, like Sam did as well. So, but
you had mentioned that, so the black has been out, and there was this thing called the PCA. Was it last week or a week and a half ago? So it's the cigar industry's big convention. It would be akin to our NBBQA that happened earlier in the year, where everybody in the business gets together, and it's a lot of retailers showing up there to buy cigars from the manufacturers, and other wares that are being showcased there as well. What does McAuliffe have to offer at PCA this year?
So that's where we brought out and released the blue. It's in the same line as the black, same price point, the Toro and Robusto. It is a San Andreas Sumatra wrapper. So essentially, it's a Sumatra seed grown in the San Andreas Valley. And then it also has Dominican and Nicaragua in the filler. And so I think it gives another dimension in our flavor profile that we haven't had, which is why I like it. It's milder than the black, but because it has that Sumatra, you get that kind of cinnamon sweetness to it. But it's a very good cigar. So it is now hitting the shelves.
So I should be getting in contact with my preferred retailer in Bolivar, Ohio, and say, hey, make sure you keep your eye out on the blue.
Yeah, he should be receiving it soon.
Do you just get endless free cigars being a rep? Is that like a benefit to the job or no?
Man, there is a courtesy in the cigar world when you go to different.
It's not like pharmaceutical rep handing out drugs to the doctors.
Yeah, so I mean, we have trunk stock. I always have cigars on me that we have, but different states have different regulations on what I can do with that the trunk stock. So, it's one of those things that yes, I have cigars, but usually we save them for the staff at retailers.
No doubt. Where are you traveling to the upcoming weeks? Anywhere where people can? Do you have any events or like open houses?
Yeah, so I have an event at Big Boys in Nashville, Tennessee on Thursday, and that's what they have, the blues. So we called it All Things Blue. It's going to be a great event. We'll also do that online. So if anyone follows us on our ambassador page, McAuliffe Ambassadors, you can find us on Facebook. We'll do live stuff there to do deals and raffles. So I'll be in Nashville this week and Chicago next week.
Midwest Territory Manager and first-time guest Jeremy Ellis joining us here on the show. McAuliffe Cigars is the name of the company. McAuliffecigars.com is the website, of course. And if you have a potential cigar palate like mine, black is right up your alley, and the blue certainly is going to hit the mark as well. And for the prices, I mean, geez, you can't hardly argue. It's incredible. So, really big fan. Great to have you on, Jeremy, and continued success. And hopefully we can catch up again down the road.
Thank you, man. It was great to be on. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You got it. Jeremy Ellis right there. McAuliffe Cigars, one of my favorite brands out there right now. And I think we're all caught up, right? Yes. Good. Good for us. We almost made it right on time, but I was late going into the second hour anyway, so I'm glad we didn't continue to back up any more than we did. So we'll go ahead and stop here. Get ready for a wrap, and we'll call it a show. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back, and we thank Jeremy Ellis for joining us last segment. McAuliffe Cigars, Midwest Territory Manager, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Western PA, West Virginia, and Tennessee. He's going to be in Nashville this Thursday for a all-blue event. McAuliffecigars.com is the website. Big fan. Next month, I don't think it's this month, but next month we are going to have Justo Aroa from JRE Tobacco on this show. I'm got a whole first hour with him. I'm so excited. Big fan of his. We'll get a whole big history on his father, a master blender, and how he got into the business. His kids are now in the business, and they're making some incredible cigars as well, just like McAuliffe is. I mean, if you gun to head, without price being a factor, is Corojo Reserva my favorite, or is McAuliffe X my favorite? I might have to run away from the bullet. That would be a hard one to choose for me at the moment. Okay, let's go. All the way back in the first hour, we attempted Malcom Reed. That did not work out. So we will find him in May, beginning of May. Darren W. Carter joined me after the failed attempt with Malcolm, and we learned all about his food truck and pop-up business that he has going on, barbecue related, here in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. Bomb City, USA. Appreciate Darren for stopping by. Second hour, Sam the Cooking Guy backed up his appearance last week and did it again this week with great conversation. It tapered a little with the almost punching stories. But we reined it back in and actually got through 90% of what I wanted to ask him about, so good for us. And then Jeremy Ellis from McAllis Cigars closing it out. Big show playing for you next week. If you can believe it, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com is going to be breaking a story right here on this show. April 9th. Tune in, because it's going to all be revealed first on this show. He had casually mentioned it on the way out last month. I didn't know what he was talking about. And now we are all going to find out. So it's very big. Also, Robert Moss. Also, second hour stuff that I can't think about right off the top of my head. But everything is booked. So be ready for it. So, how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hi, this is Bobby Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.